What's going on, my brothers and sisters around the world? It's your boy Terrell Humphrey, and welcome to Failure's Knowledge. Here at Failure's Knowledge, we empower people to become the best version of themselves each and every day. Now, how do we do that? We lead by example by doing what we love to do each and every day. For episode number 29, I ain't gonna lie to you, it's gonna be a great one because I got my brother, former Marine, former, my brother, man. It's a lot of things that I can say to describe this man. Man, big, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Good, man. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on your podcast. I know we talked on the phone like a month ago. I was like, when am I going to be on one of those? So I'm excited to be on one. So thank you for having me.
Man, thank you for agreeing to do it. Man, that really means a lot, man. That really means a lot. Before we dive into this conversation, who are you? What do you do? And how and where are you from? Let's do that.
So my name is Levi Whittington. I'm from Denton, Texas originally. I live in Fort Worth now, Cowtown they call it. I'm a real estate agent, but I specialize in wholesale investment properties. So I'm not your typical retail real estate agent. So I do enjoy that actually a lot more than retail. So it's pretty fun.
Yeah, yes, sir. I think we all do. To be completely honest, for those of you that really don't know what wholesaling is there a way where you can like break it down, like to make it more simpler?
Honestly, I think wholesaling is the easiest way of doing a transaction in real estate without having any money into the deal. We get a property under contract through a seller, and we double close on our properties. So we'll close, both sides. We'll close with the buyer and we'll close with the seller on the same day. We usually close with the buyer first, so we get those funds, and then we'll pay the seller what we went under contract with them for. So it's basically just assigning a contract, except for we don't assign. We're going to actually close with that seller, and then we'll mark up that contract and sell it to a buyer and close on the same day. So it's pretty fun. You when you first start, you learn uh, how to get investors on your buyers list, so you can start to send them properties um, that the company gets, and then the longer you're there, you'll start to learn how to negotiate with sellers
Mm-hmm.
and how to get properties under contract. And then
Mm-hmm.
you can go and literally just turn around and you have a buyer already for it. You give it to them and you just double dip that property. That's what we call it. So you'll get the buy and the sell, which is about a percentage of
Mm-hmm.
20% and 15%, so 35% of what that markup was. So it's pretty cool. I enjoy it.
And you know what's so crazy about wholesaling? As we're coming on, as we're learning or like getting our feet wet in it, we think it's easy. we think it's easy.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
at least I thought that bitch was easy. But when I started, bro, back in like 2020, I had told you about it. I had told you about when I was starting, bro. Everybody online makes it seem so much easier than what it is. And to be honest, it's a lot more difficult because you got to market, you got to put time in, you got to have extra strategy for everything. You got to know how to run your numbers. You got to do this, you got to do that. That shit is a lot.
Yeah, no, that's true. I would say the hardest part about wholesaling is actually getting properties under contract. Especially if you're mailing letters or doing door knocks or signs. People might uh, call you because they're interested, and then end up selling it to someone else, or they don't trust you and don't get reach back out to you, and you'll try to follow up with them over and over and over. But I would say that's the hardest. Sometimes it's super easy. Uh, was telling you about that foreclosure property. Uh, and how I got under contract. The only reason I was able to get under contract is because at the end of a message that I had sent her, I said simplify. And
Mm.
she called me and was like, yes, it's being foreclosed on, November 2nd. This was like mid October. So I had like 2 weeks. And she goes, I'm going to give you a chance because of what you said. My son's a Marine. He's stationed at 29 Palms. I'm going to only give you a chance because because you're a Marine as well. So I was like, okay, that I'm gonna start using that to my advantage. People who like veterans or people that are active duty, they rather work with someone like them than just your average wholesaler on the street. So I got that property under contract for 140. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm subscribed to Rowdy's foreclosure list. I don't know if they have it in California, but here in Texas, I get a list every month of pre
Mm-hmm.
foreclosures that are going to go to the auction.
Mm-hmm.
And, the company that I work with, we have a system to where we can literally call these people and try to get a hold of them. There's other ways to get their phone numbers. So I'm sure other people, investors, are doing the same thing. Maybe wholesalers, but I got this one under contract at 140, and on that Rowdy's foreclosure list, uh, it says that her payoff was 78,000. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to be able to pay, the payoff
Mm-hmm.
completely. So that's taken care of, and she'll walk away with 50, 60 grand.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, this is a steal. And we work with hedge fund buyers, and they buy the same amount every month, and they usually pay more than an investor would. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, my manager works with a certain hedge fund, and
Mm-hmm.
after I got under contract, he pitched it to them and said, "Hey, we got a property in Grand Prairie. These are the numbers. What can you pay?" And they came back at 275. I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was so excited.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I got it under contract at 140. We already had a buyer at 275. That's 135,000 markup. Now I'm
Mm-hmm.
not getting all of that because I work with the company, but I would get at least 30% of that. And I think doing the math, it was like 50 grand or something. And I was really excited. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but the only thing is, after we signed the contract and sent it the title with me and the seller, we had to wait for her payoff. And I was like, "Well,
Mm-hmm.
when's the last time you paid your mortgage?" And she said 10 years ago. So from like 2011, she hadn't paid her mortgage, and I was like, "Oh
Mm-hmm.
shit." I was like, "What we'll do is we'll add an amendment to the contract if we need to. Add
Uh-huh.
away, uh, let's say the payoff was 200, I'll give her 220, and it's still a 50 pop. That's what we call it, 50,000 markup.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but her payoff came back at, uh, what was it? It was like 283 or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, we had a buyer at 275, and her payoff came back at 283. So I had to terminate that. But, once it was just, oh, it sucked. But originally, when I got under contract at 140. I was getting geeked. I was like, man, dude, this is going to be a big one. That's 135,000. 30% of that, roughly 40 grand. I was getting all excited.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of money to make in 2 weeks after it closes, or a week. So it was
I agree.
pretty exciting. But then I ended up getting it. You know, Still doing the rowdy foreclosure list. You have to invest in yourself, in my opinion. I think I spend like 400 a month investing in myself, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's mailing more letters to certain area codes that I've been to here in the Dallas Fort Worth area, or uh, you know having to subscribe to my there's a website that my company uses. It's our website,
Mm-hmm.
and that's our system. So I have to pay for that. I got to pay for MLS. I pay for pre foreclosure lists, and then pay for you know estate sale leads. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you have to invest in yourself. If you're making good money, put a little bit back towards help keep building your business. Pretty much.
I agree. I agree. So with what you just said, I got two questions. So the first question is, when you lost that deal, what did you learn through that process?
Uh, oh, that's a good question. Honestly, I didn't learn anything. I felt like I approached it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that's you know I would try to do differently is, before getting it under contract, asking them what their payoff is. She didn't know her payoff, so that was kind of a different story. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time when people are their house is going to be foreclosed on, they know what their payoff is. Uh, and if you can give them a little bit extra, maybe 20 grand, their house won't get foreclosed on. You'll get the property. They'll walk away with 20 grand. That won't be on their record.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't feel like I would have changed anything about that situation. I just kind of wish I got that property.
Yes, sir. I completely agree. I completely agree. So the next question that you had said, you was like that you have to invest in yourself. When did you realize that investing in yourself was like the really key factor to become successful?
Well, I'm pretty cheap, so I try not to spend a lot of money. Uh, marketing my business is free because of my company. Um, we have a system to where we can mail 200 letters out a month. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do more, so I paid a little bit more. That
Mm-hmm.
way, really broke down the criteria. 2,000 builds and up. 322s, brick. In good neighborhoods, in good area codes. So I tried to do all these filters. That way, the letters are just being strictly sent to you know anybody and everybody in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a better chance of locking up a property. You spend 400 a month, but one property, you get one deal that month.
Mm-hmm.
That property just paid for the whole year of your marketing,
Mm-hmm.
give or take. So I don't what is 4 times 12 or 3,600. So you
Mm-hmm.
made 3,600 on that deal. You just paid for your whole year's worth of investing in yourself. And that's just in one deal. So imagine if you did uh, three or four or five or six a year,
Mm-hmm.
just off a million letters or estate sales or whatever. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you would make a good, you make some pretty good money. So the ways that we get our properties, you know, pretty much everything I just told you.
Mm-hmm.
Door knocks, those are probably the hardest. If you're nervous and scared to talk to people, uh, you're physically like seeing them face to face, knocking on their door, asking them if they've ever thought about selling the house. A lot of times people get angry and will tell you to fuck off or whatever, but some people are cool about it. They're like, no, I'm going to live here for until I die. So you're like, okay, I appreciate your time. As long as you're kind and courteous about it,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why you won't have an issue. Signs, someone might see a sign that said, we'll buy your house for cash. They might be curious and call, it has your number on it. Uh, they'll call and kind of ask what you would give them. And, maybe, the questions you would ask would be like, hey, you know, does it have any foundation issues? How old's the roof? What is it in
Mm-hmm.
bad condition? What's the address? Can I come by and look at it later today or tomorrow? It's really kind of getting you into the doorway. That way you can see the house. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Before I go and walk property that I'm talking with the seller about, I'll go and I'll comp their house. And I'll be like, okay, uh, maybe they told me they wanted 190,000, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
call it and I'll be like, okay, it's worth 270, and I'll crunch my numbers backwards. I'll be like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
uh, based on the age and the size of the house, I already pretty much have an offer number in my mind before I even go and walk the house. And then I'll walk the house, and let's say it's cleaner than I expected. It's actually not that outdated. Maybe it needs 20 in work instead of 30 or 35. I'll adjust my numbers,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but it could be worse too. It could have foundation issues, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't expect that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you might have to change the plumbing, uh, the electrical panel, all that good stuff. So you're like, man, this is actually gonna need a little bit more work. So I'll recrunch my numbers and be like, hey, this would be our offer. You know, obviously we're not gonna give them our highest and best. You'll want to go a little bit below that. So if they wanted 190, you might say 140 is my number, but it'll be
Mm-hmm.
cash, and there's no commissions. I'll pay your closing costs. Kind of make your offer a little bit more favorable. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and they say no, that's not going to work, but you can. Let's say you can sell it for 170. So you're like, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
can come up a little bit. All right, well, 150, get it done. I got a blank contract right here. We can sign it today. And I'll be like, and we'll close in 2 weeks. They might just be like, yeah, whatever, that works. Or they might be stubborn and just say, I want 190, but you can't make
Mm-hmm.
that 190 work. So, that's why I say when it comes to wholesaling, getting properties under contract is the hardest. It's rare that, unless you're really good at what you do, which I'm
Mm-hmm.
still learning, but if you're really good at what you do, you can get properties under contract all the time. Just depends on the person, how they say certain things, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and how their sense of urgency. Um, so, like MLS, I can get properties off the MLS too.
Mm-hmm.
People sell uh, distressed homes on the MLS. Most of the time, our offer is going to be way under list price by 30, 40, 50, maybe 60,000. I've offered 100,000 under what they were asking. They're going to tell me no, but uh, I would
It's a
say
numbers
that
game.
I would say for every 100 offers you make, you might get I'd say two or three properties under contract.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely repetition, and it is a numbers game for sure.
Mm-hmm. When I came to realize it, I was like, man, the amount of people that you have to really talk to is ridiculous.
Yeah,
And
no, it
really
is.
that's really the game of sales, because in sales in sales, the more people you talk to, the more deals you better close. If you're only talking to 10 people a day, 9 times out of 10 you probably gonna close it. But if you accumulate the people that you're talking to, now you have a better chance of closing more deals. And it's crazy because I want to ask you, okay, so who was Winnington before the real estate venture? Who, like, what's the crazy story that you have before the real estate?
So who was I before I was a real estate agent?
Yes, sir.
Well, if you look behind me, I was a fucking Marine. So
Mm-hmm.
I do miss the Marine Corps. Uh, I miss all the guys that were in my unit and stuff. Don't really reach out to each other as much as I'd like. It goes both ways. So I need to reach out to people too, just check up on them, see how they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I didn't have a plan, honestly. When I first joined the Marine Corps, I didn't know if I was going to re-enlist or just do 4 years or whatnot. Uh, what made me get into real estate was every time I would come back home on leave, I would see new houses being built like crazy. Stores being built. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, I want to get into real estate because I know that that's something that everybody needs in their
Mm-hmm.
life is a roof over their head. So
Mm-hmm.
there, you're never. I feel like you're never going to run out of business. Um, and right now, real estate is still good, in my opinion. You know, uh, the supply is not meeting the demand still, so
Mm-hmm.
you're still seeing record breaking, houses being sold in different areas. I bought my house from my investor, and that's another cool thing about where I work. I have about 100 investors on my list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can go and get more every day, but I want to keep a small circle so I can build a relationship with those investors. I don't want just 1,000 people that I'm just blasting the email to. I really actually kind of want to build a relationship with them. And one of my investors, she was finishing up her project, and I was looking for a house at the same time. It was probably last like April, May, June. I was looking for a house, and
Mm-hmm.
that was like the worst time here in Dallas Fort Worth to be looking for a house because you know if it was on MLS, using a VA loan, we might go 15 over asking, but someone's paying 30, 40,000 over asking in cash. And no one wants to deal with the VA. They're like, no, conventional or cash was mainly a lot of people's, strategy. they rather go with them than VA. And I'm like, damn, dude, I'm never gonna find a house. And so I talked to
Mm-hmm.
her. She said, yeah, I'm actually finishing up a project. If you want to come by.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah. And so I looked at it and I told my wife, I said, hey, why don't you come look at it too? And I was like, look, we're tired looking for houses. Let's what do you think about this one? So we made
Mm-hmm.
an agreement with her. Actually, gave her a little bit more than what she was wanting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, I got my house for 248
Mm-hmm.
in August, and I comped it the other day. It's worth like 315, 320 right now. So I could sell it, but I don't want to do that. I have a very low interest rate. I think it's like 2.75% right now interest rate
Damn.
VA
Uh-huh.
loan.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal is to just kind of hang on to this house
Mm-hmm.
for about 4 or 5 years, maybe move into another house, but always keep this one. This is the first rental property right here, where I'm.
Mm-hmm.
It's uh, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. It's big. It would be perfect for a family. I feel like I could at least cash flow uh, $400 a month, which is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, because I thought about it too. I was like, man, what if I sold my house or paid off my house in 2 years? But that
Mm-hmm.
would be really stupid because I've been watching a lot more videos too. Um, I always thought paying off your house would be cool, like 3 years paying it off. But then it's like, okay, all that money you worked for and saved up, you just spent and paid off your house. Now you don't have any money to invest with. So I believe debt is actually a good thing. There's good debt and bad debt.
Mm-hmm.
Good debt would be houses. So having a certain amount, why wouldn't you not invest in buying 2 rental properties a year? And in 10 years, that's like 20 rental properties. So now
Mm-hmm.
you're 35 with 20 rental properties, and you have a project manager, and they're all building appreciation, equity. You're cash flowing all of them while they're paying down the mortgage. And in 30 years, once to say all those houses are paid off, you're straight up cash flowing. Yeah, you'll have
Mm-hmm.
homeowners insurance and property taxes you still have to pay, but you be cash flowing a lot. So that's your retirement right there. Uh, and I had no intentions in investing in real estate when I got out of the Marine Corps. I actually didn't
Mm-hmm.
know what my job was all about. I just knew that I wanted to be a real estate agent. This place was hiring in Fort Worth. It's kind of where I needed to be by, and it was actually completely different wholesale investment real estate company. So it's really fun. I've learned a lot on both sides. I've learned how to wholesale, and I've learned how to invest. Um, still waiting for my first flip, like I was telling you earlier.
Mm-hmm.
My next door neighbor sold her house for 130, and it's worth 235, and I think it needs about 40 more. So that would have been a good first little flip for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I still kick myself when I'm doing the dishes or something. I look out the window and they're painting the house or taking out windows. I'm just like, screw them. So uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's just being late. I didn't jump on it quick enough. I knew that she was wanting to sell. She had kind of mentioned something about it, saying that she was going to be out at the end of the year. I didn't really take it
Mm-hmm.
seriously, especially when she was still here in March. And then all of a sudden, she has a yard sale, and I was like, okay, it's time to go over there and kind of talk to her. She's like, yeah, it's already under contract. It's been under contract for about 10 days now. That's why I beat myself up because I knew that it was going to be for sale this whole time, and I never went over there to uh, even try. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something I don't recommend doing is waiting. They're not going to come to you. You got to go to them. You got to remind them
Mm-hmm.
that you're serious. So uh, sense of urgency for sure.
I agree. I completely agree. And it's a numbers game, and it's about when are you able to get in front of the people when it's time for them to sell. And that's why I do understand like everything that you're saying because you hit something on the nail that was like really, really, really good. You said I can have 1,000 cash buyers, but I'd rather have 100 because I'm trying to build a relationship with them. For
Yeah.
someone that's in the military or that's really don't know how to build a relationship or network with someone, how would you go by advising them to do that? Why is that so important to do that?
Uh, I mean, it's important because one, they're probably going to be continuing buyers. Two, they might give you properties as well. If you just added Joe Schmo, last April to your email list,
Excuse me. Mm-hmm.
and you never talked to him, you might have reached out once to him because he mentioned he liked Fort Worth, and you're like, hey, I have this Fort Worth property. What do you think? Uh, you know, the people you build relationships with, one, they're gonna trust you more, and they're gonna buy from you just because uh, they like the kind of person you are. I know a couple of my buyers so well that anytime I get a property, I don't even have to send out that email. I just text that person, and we'll go look at
Mm-hmm.
it. And he knows the process. He's bought a couple from me already, and he always tries to haggle on price. So that's another thing too when it comes to that. If let's say if you work with a company or you want a certain price for it, whether it be 15,000 more, 20,000 more, let's say I got that property for 190, but we're trying to sell it for 220. Since I know that he's a haggler, I'll pitch it to him at 225 because I know
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna want some money off. So he says, I want some money off. You're asking how much. If he says 5 grand, you're like, oh man, I don't know. I'm gonna talk to my manager. Like, make the manager look like he's the bad guy. And when he talked to him, I was like, hey, he's in at full price at 220. So obviously he doesn't hear our conversation, but I'll be like, hey, I talked to my manager. He says, yeah, we can make that work, but we have to go to the bank right now and get the cashier's check and then sign a contract. And then now you just sold that property for basically what you wanted for it. So, for
Mm-hmm.
the hagglers out there that always want the deal, pitch it to them a little bit higher. If you know your buyers well enough, pitch it to them 5 grand more. But if I can get you 5 grand off, will you make this work? And they just thought they got a deal, but really you just got what you wanted for it. But the advice I have is building relationships. I just feel like it's very important um, because, like I said, they'll buy from you, but also they might have a project that they're not really wanting to deal with, and they
Mm-hmm.
might put you, and now you could potentially be the acquisition agent for that property. They'll sign it to you, and now you can release it out to the office for the other agents to sell, and then you
Mm-hmm.
just pay a check. So I've had buyers bring me properties. uh, they made 20 grand. I made, 3 or 4 grand. It's cool. It's whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but once they see that how quick and easy it is just to wholesale it to, a company like us, then they'll do it again and again. So you also have to
Mm-hmm.
perform too. So,
Mm-hmm.
anytime I get a property under contract, especially if it's on the MLS and I'm dealing with a new agent I've never worked with before, I feel like I have to perform. I have to close on it. So I have to find a buyer because if I don't, that person's not going to bring you any more deals. Especially
Mm-hmm.
if you're like, oh, we're always buying. Can you bring us another deal? Well, you didn't even perform on this last one. You terminated or you were trying to get money off. So if you
Mm-hmm.
perform and you make an easy transaction for them, they're going to be like, yeah, the next pocket listing I get before I release it on the MLS, I'll bring it your way. So I've
Mm-hmm.
done that. Built a relationship with an agent like that, uh, and it was super, super smooth transaction.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully she brings me another one pretty soon.
Yes,
So
sir.
yeah, relationships are always important. Networking is very important. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Real estate networking groups. You can meet people online. Meet people at an auction.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different ways.
You know how long it took me to realize that, bro?
How long?
Bro, like I say probably like 13, 14 months to be completely honest. Cause my first meetup was in October. And when I went, bro, it was like a different atmosphere because everybody in the same room wants success. They want not only they want success not only for themselves but for everybody else. And when I seen that, when I came into the environment, everybody like mindset was just like, how can we grow? How can I help you? How can I do this? How can I do that? How can we do this? How can we do that? And like when I seen that, bro, when I heard that, experienced it, being around it, I'm like, bro, that is a phenomenal feeling that a lot of us don't know what networking is or building relationship is. That concept is very much needed in life, not just in real estate, not just in real estate, with everything that you do.
Yeah, no, no, that's true. Networking events I think are one of the best. Even if you have to pay to get in, you pay like what, $10, you might get like two free drinks or something. You might meet at a bar and with other real estate investors. One, you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna exchange information with maybe other wholesalers who can bring you deals so you can bring to your buyer, or you'll meet new buyers there. Uh, it's uh, that's what it takes to build a business. Why people are successful. They don't just do it on their own. They network.
Mm-hmm.
So the number one agent in my company, made like 600,000 last year.
Mm.
Uh, and yeah, he probably took a lot of hard work to build up his list, to build up connections and network. But once he did, the job became easier.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of going out and looking for deals all the time, deals are being brought to him through
Mm-hmm.
those connections and people he has relationships with. So now he's closing on three or four or five, properties a month, and he's not really having to go out and find these properties. He might have found one while the other four were brought to him.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like having people work for you, uh, but you have a relationship with them. They're going out and finding these deals, and then they're presenting it to you, and you're making it work. So it's it's the most powerful. That saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's very true. So
Exactly, and that really, to be honest, that well, what you know go ties into who you know too. Because if you don't know the right material or the right conversation, or how to hold conversation, that what ain't gonna turn into who you know because you don't know how to carry a conversation. You don't know how to ask the right question. You don't know how to have the right conversation in order to grow, in order to build a relationship, in order to establish somebody that you can really go to.
no, yeah, 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 you're right. I I, I love networking.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a networking event a couple of months ago, and it was one of my buyers who his company buys a lot of properties,
Mm-hmm.
and he also brought other wholesalers in the Dallas Fort Worth area. Companies that we've heard of that are our rivals, or that
Mm-hmm.
independent wholesalers. Getting their contact information. Not the people we don't want to work with, but the people we do. Those independent wholesalers, they go out and they're the ones, beating the streets. They're the ones doing door knocks, door hangers, throwing signs, emailing
Mm-hmm.
letters, maybe even harder than what I am. They're out there hustling, so they get properties all the time. And if you can be their number one buyer, those bring everything to you, and make your job so much easier. I just love it. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's true. It's you have to know what you're, I guess, talking about first before really trying to, I guess, sell what you have.
Mm-hmm.
What's the word I'm looking for? Um,
What pitch? What you
yeah,
pitch? What
like,
you can bring?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Once you understand what you're talking about, and they'll be okay. He's a little experienced, Uh, I wouldn't mind working with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to people who are like, yeah, I know I have a buyer who flipped 100 houses last year. It's like, no, you don't. Like, in my opinion, I'm like, yeah, there are probably people out there who have flipped 100 houses in a year, but this guy coming in who's wanting to get started knows someone who did 100 last year. It's like, I don't believe it. So I just feel like they kind of don't know what all they're talking about. And another thing too is like, uh, if you're building up your buyers list and there's a first time investor, they're brand new. Obviously, I like to bring them into the office and have a meeting with them, really
Mm-hmm.
kind of explain to them uh, how my company operates, so that they understand moving forward when they receive properties from us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very patient with them, and I try not to be pushy, because my thing is I rather than buy 4 or 5 houses from me a year, or 4 or 5 houses in 2 3 years, versus just buying one.
Yep.
So get them on my list. I send them a deal. They might like it. We'll go look at it. And if I don't feel like they're 100%, I'll literally like talk myself out of a commission. I'll talk them out of the deal. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know if this one's gonna work for you. I feel like it wouldn't be a good, first time investment property. And I feel like they'll appreciate that too, over time, because you're kind of looking out for their best interest, instead of
Mm-hmm.
pushing them there and say, oh yeah, like this is what you're looking for. You told me, like, here you go. It'd be a good one. Just trying to get a paycheck. I rather show them a couple houses, let them get their feet wet, and then let them dive in and knock out that first one. And
Mm-hmm.
hopefully they do good. They make 35, 40,000 on the flip, and then they're like, hey Levi, I'm ready, man. Let's do another one. So uh, you know they know that I will look out for them, and that builds a relationship too. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I like dealing with sometimes newer investors as well, because I also feel like that they can be serious. A lot of investors out there will say they're investors and they'll waste your time. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
the numbers are too tight. There's no meat left on the bone for me. I would need it at like 50K, what you got it for. Even it's like, dude, like, yeah, everybody wants to get a house for $10 and then sell it for 300,000. It's just not how it works.
Yeah.
You're not gonna go find a house, super cheap, and then make 100K on a flip. It's just well, I mean, there might be some houses up there actually, but I feel like it's impossible to do that. And sellers too, man, they know that the market's good. People talk about stuff all the time. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's sunny outside right now. How many people talk about the weather today? Pretty much everybody. I'm sure someone has said, "Oh yeah, real estate's really good right now." So you think a seller's going to be like, "Yeah, I'll take 140 for my house"? No, they want 190, because they know that they could probably get 200 to 220 on the MLS if they listed on MLS. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so instead of them for settling for 140 or 150, yeah, they want what they want. So that's why it's hard to get properties under contract. Um, and I try to tell investors that too. They're like, man, you got anything coming up? It might be a day or two without a property. It's you know, I don't know when we'll get properties. So we might not get nothing for a day or two, and then we'll
Mm-hmm.
get 3 or 4 on Thursday, and then maybe
Mm-hmm.
one Friday, and then Monday, two more. So you just don't know. They just kind of come and go, and I'll never be able to really determine what area too. I just have
Mm-hmm.
to tell me what areas they're interested in. Here in the Dallas Fort Worth area, you guys were in Arlington, so Arlington's a really good area. People will say, "Oh, I want Arlington, Grand Prairie, Fort Worth, uh, mid cities, Dallas," and then we might not get nothing in any of those areas for like a month or two, and then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden we'll get a Arlington deal, and then
Mm-hmm.
just never know when we'll get a property in a certain area.
I agree. I agree. And you're talking from experience now, because I can hear the growth of the conversation that we having, that you're learning from the mistakes that you already made, or the lesson that you already made. Because when somebody come in, sometimes they might be wasting your time. Sometimes they might say they're a buyer and might not end up being a buyer. And it took time for you to actually realize, like, all right, you ain't about to bullshit me now. I know what I'm doing. I know how to do it. And if you a buyer, you're a buyer. If you're not, then you're not. That's why, like, I see the growth that you're displaying, because it's actually like here. I'm hearing it as we're talking, bro.
Yeah, when uh when I when I came to go see you guys when you were in Arlington,
Mm-hmm.
I just started there, but I was like a week or two there, so I didn't really have any experience. But there's still a lot of stuff I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
just kind of talking about what I do know. Um, but uh, yeah, man, I love what I do, and you know, I see
Mm-hmm.
you're doing it too, but just taking a different approach about it, which I kind of wanted to learn. You know how you locked up your first deal.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you don't mind explaining that, that'd be
Oh
cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Not at all, man. So really, me and my partner, Dylan Brown, back in Little Rock, Arkansas, how we locked it up. I ended up reaching out to the property owner. It was like a direct to seller. I think is what it's called. It was direct to seller. And so I had cold call and had asked. I was like, "Have you recently thought about selling your property?" She was like, "Actually, I have." And this was in June. This was in June when I called her. So when I called her, we had a conversation, and then I passed the information to my partner, Dylan Brown. So Dylan Brown from June all the way up to December 29th, he kept following up with her. He kept going to the property. And you know, when the property has a tenant in it, it becomes a little bit more complicated because the tenant don't want to comply with the landlord, or like there's a whole bunch of complications that come with a landlord and a tenant. Both of them had to
Yeah,
be on the same time. Both of them had to be both agreeable on everything that's going on, and it was hard. Well, I just passed the information. And once I passed the information, Dylan Brown was doing everything. He followed up from June, and it was a long time from June to December 29th. He kept following up. He kept going to the property. He kept speaking to the property owner. He kept following up. He kept doing this. He kept doing that. He kept doing. He kept being in front of the property owner to let him know, like, "I listen. This is everything I'm doing. I'm trying to work with you. I'm trying to get everything situated so that way it can be like a smooth transition." And that's what he was doing. If it weren't for him, that deal would have never closed, to be completely honest. And he had called me. It was like the week before December 29th. I can't remember verbatim, but it was the week before December 29th. And when they closed, he called me. He was like, "Hey, man, the deal about to close." I said, "What?" I said, "Bro, what you talking about?" Mind you, this shit happened in June. I talked to her like in June, like that's the beginning of it. The end is December. So he was like, "Man, the deal about to close." I said, "Bro, what the fuck you talking about? What deal?" And he told me the property. He told me the property owner name. I'm like, "Oh, that mother's about to close." So I was like, "Okay, okay." So when it closed, a week later, flag passed. It closed. The title company called me. We was in contact, and when the funds got into my account, I didn't believe it. We closed for 6,500. It was 6,500. We split down the middle 3,250. And when it closed, I didn't believe it because it took me 16 months just to close it. It was my first hit second. And so when it closed, I was in disbelief because I didn't know if this was real or not. What made me actually believe that it was real, I had two fees come out my account. It was one for my credit card, my debit card, and another one for the transfer fee. When I seen that, I'm like, okay, this shit real. This shit real. Automatically, I investing back into myself. So for these last couple of months, so the deal closed in December 29th. So from January, February, March, April, I began. I'm so educated more now than I was last year or when I started because I'm around the right people. I done met the people that I need to meet. I'm in the right environment, and now I'm educated to where like I can reach out to more people. It's not just me doing anything no more. I don't want to do nothing by myself. Well,
yeah,
and what the process has taught me is that the more people that you're in contact with, the more you learn, the more you have close access to people, the more you'll be able to succeed in life. I joined a mastermind called Resurrection, and when I joined it, bro, it's just a different atmosphere. Like, damn, if I get stuck, if I have any questions, I can reach out to them. And just because I'm in this mastermind doesn't mean I can't go to other people. So now my contact list is like I got so many contacts in my phone now. I can reach out to whoever, whenever, just because I presented myself in a lot of meetups. I go to a lot of networking events, and I seize the opportunity. I have a conversation with them. I be me. I bring the value that I can bring. It's just me being me, to be honest. And like that's what people gravitate to. You being you, no matter where you at.
Yeah. No,
So now,
I like that a
that,
lot. Uh, so the cool thing though about that is he didn't give up on the deal. He followed up. So basically, he followed up. They never told him to leave him alone or stop.
mm-hmm,
That's a lot of people that would have given up after a month or two. Like, man, this
mm-hmm,
person's not serious about selling. But no, he worked it. Followed up. Maybe didn't follow up every day. Followed up every a week, every 2 weeks. But the fact that he was still following up. Uh, until they said no, it was pretty good. But the fact that obviously it didn't say no, you guys got it under contract, uh,
mm-hmm,
and ended up finding the buyer for it, which is pretty cool.
mm-hmm,
Easy transaction, which yeah, it took a lot of work, but not every property is going to be like that too. There's
mm-hmm,
properties where I don't even have to leave the office, dude. I just I found on MLS. I send the offer. The agent calls, says, "Yeah, we want to accept your offer." I call a buyer who I trust to go and walk the property by himself. Well, I'll go walk the property, take pictures before, and I'll send him the pictures and the numbers, and he'll go look at it by himself because I trust him.
mm-hmm,
And then he'll say, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna go meet you at the bank." That's the only time I leave my desk. But okay, I'm gonna go meet you at the bank, and it's super easy and a sweet transaction. It's like, oh wow, I just made 4,500. I didn't have to do anything. So it's pretty cool. Another thing I would mention, you said you had a lot of buyers, which is really good, but try not to add just anyone, everyone. One thing we do, is ask for proof of funds. These people say that they have 500,000 to spend. Okay, well, I'd like to meet you in person. Maybe we can go to
mm-hmm,
Starbucks, have a coffee. I kind of want to tell you, a little bit about myself. I want to meet you. Would you be okay with bringing a proof of funds? That way, like I know that you're a serious buyer. Not saying
mm-hmm,
you're not. It's just I dealt with a lot of people in the past who have told me that they're a serious buyer and haven't bought anything from you. And then
mm-hmm,
contractors work. I would start networking with contractors too.
mm-hmm,
Uh, one because you can start referencing these contractors to your investors or your buyers, but also you might already have a list of, let's say, a painter, a guy who does floors, a roofer, cabinet guy, a plumber, foundation guy, window guy, landscaping guy, you name it. You get a good foundation of all these contractors that do good work. So
mm-hmm,
when you're ready to flip, or GCs, get a GC. When you're ready to start flipping, if that's something you guys want to do or something you're looking to get into, you already
mm-hmm,
have a contractor and you worked with these guys before, and they know you and you know them, and you know that they won't screw you out of performing, and they'll do a good job because you've seen their work before.
mm-hmm,
So, I have contractors on my phone too. Anytime an investor needs a contractor, hey, you have an HVAC guy. Yeah, I'll send them two or three. Let them shop around. Let them see who they want to use. But that's something that I like to do too. But I really like that he followed up until pretty much the deal was done. Uh,
mm-hmm,
there's times I've been trying to get a buyer in. I did that once. This guy, I just started. I was throwing signs, and this guy was like, "Hey, I've been an investor for like 7, 8 years. I've flipped hundreds of houses." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Oh, like I was just started actually." I was like, "Yeah, this guy is like the real deal." I was so pumped. I was like, "Man, I'd love to meet you," because our motto is, "Hey, we want to meet you first before we start sending you properties." That's kind of what
mm-hmm,
we. So I was like, "Hey, would this be a good time to meet?" He wouldn't answer, or he'd say, "Yeah, let's meet here." And then he would reschedule or I would reschedule, and it went on for like 5 months. And then he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna be." He called me on a Friday afternoon. He goes, "Hey, I'm gonna be in Hearst tomorrow. Uh, I just got done flipping a property. If you want to, meet." And it was a Saturday. It's like, man, I don't really want to drive an hour to meet somebody on a Saturday, but this is a big buyer. Like this could be a guy that changes helps me, sell properties because he's always buying.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
It turns out he's actually not a buyer, but
mm,
still a very good contact because he brings me properties. So he's a franchisee with We Buy Ugly Houses,
Mm-hmm.
and like he gets properties all the time. And sometimes he doesn't want to deal with them, so he might be like, "Here, is this something you guys would be interested in?" And he knows
Mm-hmm.
what I do, and I know what he does. So I tell him like, "Hey, this is what I could sell it for, so I'm gonna need it at this price."
Mm-hmm.
Like, make that work, and we'll get under contract. If we can't, then I appreciate him, giving me the chance to show me. So it
Mm-hmm.
goes right back to networking. Uh, yeah, and following up, man. I don't follow up 100% on everybody. You start to get overwhelming. Next thing you know, after 5 months, you have to follow up with 100 people. It gets overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I did that for another guy. I was trying to get him in for a meeting, and he was like, "No, just yeah, let's do it this day," and then rescheduling. And I gave up on him. And he called me like 5 months later and said, "Hey, do you remember me? My name's Richard." And I was like, "No." He goes, "Yeah, man." He goes, "I'm ready to start investing now." He goes, "Sorry, took so long." He goes, "I was just I kind of got out of it for about a year, and now I'm ready to get back."
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even have this guy's number saved or nothing. I was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, and then I remembered him. I was like, "Oh yeah, how are you doing?" And got him in for a meeting. Gave him the spill of how we operate.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's on my list. So hopefully I can sell him something pretty soon. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I
dude.
was,
Go ahead. Sorry.
go ahead. I'm with you now.
Oh no, that was it. I was
Oh,
done.
I was about to say opportunities present themselves without us even knowing it. So if we're in the right place at the right time, taking the right action at the right moment, things are gonna start to present themselves that we ain't never paid attention to.
It's
And
true.
that's why he was like, that I said a lot of buyers. No, I said I have a lot of contacts. I have a lot of people that I can reach out to. So they might have a lot of buyers, but like I can just reach out to them. Like I can reach out to you. Like I have close access to you. I have close access to them too. So that's why I understand like where you're coming from and the point that you're coming at it, because it's really important to understand that concept, to understand like as we're going to these meetups, as we go to networking events or meeting new people, it happens anywhere at any time at any given place.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I'll tell you. I'll give y'all some secrets of what kind of works for me. But first, I'll just kind of tell you how the job. How tough it is out here, especially where I work. So I'm 100% commissions. I don't get paid hourly, salary, any of that stuff. If I don't sell anything, I'm not fucking eating. That's that. So got out of the Marine Corps in November. Stopped getting paid by the Marine Corps in the beginning of January. I got my real estate license. I finished it up last February, uh, right before the snowmageddon that we had in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So I waited a week, and then I called the guy that interviewed me, my manager, and I said, "Hey, I got my license. I'm ready to start now," which is really cool. I guess they liked me, and I did a ride along with him. He kind of told me how we operate, and he hired me. So from January, the beginning of January until the end of May, the beginning of June, I didn't get paid. So talk about like not feeling like a man, and like I straight up, like, I cried, man. Like, I was like frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got home one day, it was like last April, and I was just so like just frustrated because I would have closed on my first deal like my first 6 weeks there. And usually it takes a while. You got to build up your list first. You start from scratch. And I was like, "Oh man, I just sold a property. I'm excited." The guy backs out at closing. So I was like, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that, whatever." Um, the the second deal, I sell. I go all the way from where I live to Dallas, downtown Dallas,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and I sell a property on a Sunday, which nobody works on a Sunday, and
Mm-hmm.
I sold it. I was like, "Yo, I'm finally gonna get my first one again." He backs out the next day, and
Mm-hmm.
then like, the third one was over in Dallas, and I'm working it, and this guy said he's interested. They kept knocking down, chiseling the price, and I'm like, this guy's tough to deal with, but he's gonna buy. And then it was just one thing after another. Oh, it might have aluminum wiring instead of copper. We want to get that checked out. Okay, well, I'll go back out there. We go and look at it. I think it was aluminum wiring. And then
Mhm.
now it's like, oh, the living room sinks down. You have to step down to get into the living room. That's an issue now, and it's just gave he just pretty much gave me the reach around, and it took me 3 or 4 months at that company to get my first sale, and then from there I started rolling.
Mm.
Sell or two maybe a month, to where it was like a half buy and three sells, and
Mhm.
getting paid 8 grand, and uh, uh, I had like five half buys last July. I made like
Mm.
16,000. So half buy is like I'm not an acquisition agent yet. Uh,
Mhm.
so an acquisition agent has to help me uh, lock up that property. Like I had found a house that
Mhm.
a seller was selling, but I didn't know how to negotiate all that. So an AA helped lock up the deal, and I got a half buy. But I made like 16 grand in July or August last year. And I felt good.
Mhm.
Like, okay, it's starting to come around. And then 8 grand, 10 grand a month, to where I started school full time last fall. I was going to University of North Texas. I
Mhm.
started school, and it was like one cell, maybe two cells, and it was like very very little. And then once school ended, I was like, okay, I'm glad that's done, so I could focus back on the job, because I was only making like maybe 3 grand or 4 grand a month. I'm like, man, I really would like to kind of step it up. And then 2022 came, and I was like, okay, cool, new year, right?
Mhm.
I didn't make shit in January. I had a
Mm.
good day, nothing. And I was like, I was been out of shape, man. I was like, dude, the past couple months aren't looking too good. And then
Mhm.
February hit, and I made 30,000. So I was super pumped. I was like, okay, cool. Now you're turning the page a little bit. Last month I didn't make really anything either. I think I made like 2 grand. And then
Mhm.
right now I'm in a slump. So it's like this. You just gotta ride it out. You can't give up when you're down, because it's gonna get better. You just gotta keep.
Mhm.
It's a very stressful job. I'm stressed 24/7. I can't relax, because I don't know when my next paycheck's gonna be. You know,
Yeah.
going from the Marine Corps, where it was the first and the 15th, to now not knowing when you're gonna get paid. It just kind of sucks. So for the month of February, I think I was like number 10 in my company, out
Mm.
of like 213 people
Mhm.
nationwide that we
Mm.
have. So I thought that was pretty cool, because I never been that low before. Still learning, obviously. The big dogs, some people learn faster than others, but uh, it just takes consistency and dedication to really keep driving. This is my where I work at. I think it's complete awesome. We go on trips and stuff. We went to New Orleans, paid. It was all paid. Hotel, flight, uh, you know, alcohol and stuff. I
Mhm.
think I spent maybe like $100, $200 on like drinks. The
Mm.
rest like open bar, all that good stuff. Nice dinners. They'll take us to Nick and Sam's. It's a
Mhm.
really fine steakhouse here in Dallas, where
Mhm.
like celebrities go and stuff. Um, they took me to the Dallas Cowboys playoff game when they were playing the 49ers, like paid for. Concerts. I've been
Mhm.
to I've been to 4 concerts in the past year, and before I'd never been to any concerts. And I'm about to go to another one in 2 weeks, and then another one next month, and then
Mm.
another one in September. Uh,
Mm.
Getting to meet people that you listen to is awesome. Just free tickets. To
Mhm.
go see Clint Black, uh, Justin Moore. I did have to pay for the Luke Combs concert, but these are country singers. But it
Mhm.
was just really cool, man. Like they take good care of you. We're doing a horse race right now for a trip to Austin. So right now my team's in third, and the top four teams go to Austin. So that would be pretty cool to uh, go down to Austin for a weekend. I
Mhm.
think we're taking a party bus there, just have a good time. So uh, if you're the top 20 in the company for the year, you get to go to places like, uh, I don't know, Bora Bora or the Bahamas, and it's paid for, and it's like super wild, I heard. So, uh,
Incentives to keep going.
yeah, for real. It's an awesome place to work at. Um, but you are gonna have the ups and downs. Uh, so a lot of things stress me out on the side. I just got done paying my taxes, uh, which was a lot more than I expected, and I was freaking
Mm-hmm.
out. I didn't write off as much as I should have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just a bunch of stuff that kind of gets in the way of the job. So you have to be dedicated to the work to be successful, in my opinion.
I
There
agree.
are guys that I work with that make 40, 50, 60 a month, and it just blows my mind. So
It's,
it is cool.
yeah, yeah, 100%. They just come with experience. But I do have one more question before we come to the end. I do have one more question because you said that you got all these things going on, and like you said, it fluctuates.
Yeah.
Business fluctuates, which is really understandable. How do you keep your composure to where you're not losing yourself?
Oh, I do lose myself. I get into my own head. I'm like, man, this isn't worth it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not doing it right. You're not good at this. You know, uh, I'll talk to my manager about it, and he's like, dude, he's like, just stick to the basics.
Mm.
What you've learned, what was passed on to you, just stick to the basics. If you try to change things up, uh, you know, and try experimenting, well, you always should experiment. I feel
Mm-hmm.
that's how you learn. You learn
Mm-hmm.
what works for you and what doesn't. But the
Mm-hmm.
basics always work. And I drift away from the basics and then wonder why. I'm in a down spot. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe not being 100% consistent all the time because it is tiring. Like, dude, I don't want to send this offers every week and drive neighborhoods every week and do
Mm-hmm.
this. Like, it gets boring over time. But it's just something you have to do because uh, that's your job. So
Mm-hmm.
truck drivers don't want to drive all the time, but that's how they get paid. So uh,
Mm-hmm.
you either love it or you don't. Um, but yeah, being consistent. You might be in a down spot, but you've been consistent. All of a sudden, one, two, three deals pop up out of nowhere, and you double dipped one, and you made 4,500. You got another one, you made 3 grand, and then you get a big one, and you made 20 grand on that one. So uh, it is sweet. The reason why I had a big month in February was because of a estate sale. I think I
Mm-hmm.
talked a little bit about those. Estate sales
Mm-hmm.
are my favorite things to go to. One is because it's the home of usually someone who had passed away, uh,
Mm-hmm.
but it might have been paired to their children, uh, and the children are going to sell it because they don't want the
Mm-hmm.
house. They want the
Mm-hmm.
money. Everybody wants money nowadays. So, you know, if if I had children and I died, they would probably sell this house so they could
Mm-hmm.
pocket, 100K or whatever. Uh, but I go to them because one, they're selling everything inside the house, so you might potentially get some pretty good deals.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and two, uh, you know, you get to look at the house before you get to actually visit inside the house instead of just walking through a neighborhood and saying, "Oh, that house looks like it needs work from the outside," or maybe it looks clean on the outside, but the inside is like super outdated. You're in like a
Mm-hmm.
70s build neighborhood. You get to actually walk these houses and go inside of them. So what I do is I look around. I'm like, "Oh, they have some cool stuff," and I also look. Okay, I see some foundation, obviously windows. There's blue, green carpet in here. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's not the style anymore. There's laminate, flooring and no granite countertops. The cabinets are old.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's all new appliances. There's no water, or there's no HVAC system. It's just window units. So that that's like a fixture upper. And then I usually go to the estate sale people once I'm done walking it, and I might buy something. Uh, I bought uh, I bought a Walter Payton autographed picture, and it has the like a letter of like authenticity or whatever. It's like
Mm-hmm.
notarized. and it has another letter that he had written to a fan and signed. I bought that for $5 at an estate sale, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me! Like that's Walter Payton. Also got a Troy Aikman, Jerry Jones, um, Herschel Walker, George Jones. He's a country singer. He's my
Mm-hmm.
favorite personally. All five of those autographs, I think I paid like $35 for. And the letter that came with the Walter Payton autograph, I sold on eBay. I just sold it for like $70 because uh, it's whatever. But he actually signed it, and so I pretty much just got all that for free, and then made a little bit on the side, $35 or whatever, some gas money. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I like to wholesale the stuff I buy at estate sales. I have stuff in my room. I got a picture of the Alamo because I love Texas so much. I got a picture of the Alamo. I got it for like five, six, seven, $8. Could
Mm-hmm.
probably look it on eBay for like $40 or whatever. Someone would think it's cool and antique, but yeah, dude, I want to
Mm-hmm.
show you these pictures, man. They're pretty cool. So, uh, these are the autographs I'm talking about. It's Troy Aikman and Herschel Walker. You got Jerry Jones right here,
Mm. You gonna
George
put it on
Jones.
your wall?
Yeah, yeah. And then this is the good one. This is the Walter Payton.
Yeah,
So
that's hard. That's
yeah, and
hard.
it comes with the. So I'm just astonished that they're just trying to get rid of everything in the house, so
Yep.
they don't care. They'll sell it for a cheap price. And they
Yep.
had so many other autographed pictures at that house specifically. They had like Ronald Reagan. They had like actors and actresses and
Mm-hmm.
politicians. It was really cool. So I like sports stuff. I look for
Mm-hmm.
football cards, baseball cards, because they'll go sell it for $1, but it's like a
Worth
Ken
a lot
Griffey
more.
Jr. rookie card. They don't know, they're just trying to get rid of it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, once I'm done touring the estate sales, I'll go to the estate sale company. They usually have a little table set up in like
Mm-hmm.
the living room, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll ask them. I was like, "Hey, do you know if the family is planning on selling the house?" And
Mm-hmm.
they'll be like, "Oh, I think it's already sold." And I'll be like, "Okay, can I leave my card just in case it hasn't?" I'm an investor. I'm actually very interested. I'd love to buy this house.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll be like, "Yeah, they're going to be selling it soon. Uh, I think they have a real estate agent already." Because I'll tell them I'm a real estate agent. I'm like, "Okay, I'm not interested in representing them. I'm actually interested in buying." So at that
Mm-hmm.
point, I'll either get the agent's information from them, or we call it TOO. I'll look up the seller's information, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
call the seller and say, "Hey, I just stopped at the estate sale. They told me you were selling the house. I know you have a real estate agent already. Is it okay if you give me her information?" And then I'll talk to the agent about the property.
That's
Uh,
smart.
Now, if they don't have an agent but they want to sell, then that's a little bit better. I honestly like dealing with sellers who don't have agents because
Mm-hmm.
the goal is to get the price for what you want. Agents are going to list it for what they think that the seller can get. So like the
Mm-hmm.
max available. I see so many MLS deals all the time. It'll say great investment property, and the house is like worth 220, and they have it listed at like 199. I'm like, how are you going to make money on this? It's not even going to
Yeah.
go with numbers. So agents don't really know what a good rental property is or what
Mm-hmm.
a flip property is, because you can't just list something 50K under the market value for that property, and then say that if you put some work into it, you'll make some money. What if that
Mm-hmm.
house is 50 and work? Then what? You're gonna have
Right.
to rent it out, or homeowners don't want to buy a house cheaper and put work into it, and then it be worth what it already what their neighbor got or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They want equity in it. So I see that all the time. And when they don't have an agent, the seller, it's just so much better because you can kind of negotiate a little bit better. There's
Mm-hmm.
tactics that you can use to uh, kind of get what you want, but make it sound like what you can give them is favorable. Like if I
Mm-hmm.
told you I give you 150 for your house cash, I'll pay cash for it. I'm an agent, but I won't use my commission, so you don't have to worry about paying any commissions, and I'll pay your closing costs.
Mm-hmm.
So super easy transaction. Anything that you don't want that's still in the house, I'll take care of. I'll you know I'll donate it to charity or whatever. And then they'll be like, oh, you're pulling on my heartstrings, you know. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
they might take that because it's I can get 150,000 cash in 2 to 3 weeks. That's what you're saying. So uh, making it sound good, but knowing that you're going to go and sell it for 200, it's a deal for both of you guys. Well, it's
Mm-hmm.
a deal for the wholesaler. It's not a deal for the seller, but the seller likes it. It's convenient, quick, and easy, and that
A
they'll
hundred
get.
percent.
Yeah. So,
A
uh,
hundred percent.
with the real estate agent involved, like, oh no, we're gonna list it for 220. We're gonna get the most out of it. She's gonna redo the carpet, so we're gonna get top dollar for it. And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, whatever. That's no lead. But I do love estate sales, and if I were you, I would download estatesales.net, the
I'm
app.
downloading again.
Yeah, yeah, because there's going to be so many around you. It's like garage sales, man. You go to them, and those are potential leads. Like you
Yeah.
literally get to look inside the house too, and then since you have the address, if you have a way of pulling people's numbers, get a hold of that seller and then ask them, you know, obviously the seller, uh, the name that might pop up is probably the homeowner that passed away. So you'll want to
Mm-hmm.
go to their children and ask the children, hey, I was talking, to the estate sale company. It said you wanted to sell. I'd like to give you, or I'm interested. What would you be asking? They
Mm-hmm.
might just want to get rid of it. I'll take 130 for it, and
Mm-hmm.
you comped it and it's worth like 250 fixed up. You're like, oh shit, like yeah, I'll give you 130. Like I've already looked at it. Would can I send a contract your way or a purchase agreement for you guys? They'll sign it and then you're like, yeah, I got a buyer for this at 150. You just make 20 grand like quick like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool, but that's not the reality always. Some transactions go super smooth, some are a pain in the ass, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude, I love estate sales. Go look at them. Uh, if to not waste your time, look through the pictures in the estate sales. If you see like granite countertops and like it looks like it's like in a nice house, don't go to that house. You're just wasting your time. If you see
Mm-hmm.
like blue carpet or like old carpet, old things, okay, that's an estate sale I'm going to go to. So you go to that estate sale and you already knew that it was already going to be a fixture upper. And
Mm-hmm.
and if you don't even want to waste your time, because most of the time, a lot of times, those properties are already sold, you can call that number on the estatesales.net, and it's for that company that's doing the estate sale, and say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, is the family are they thinking about selling the property? They might say it's already sold, so now you just saved yourself a trip. Uh, that way you don't have to go to that estate sale. Now you can go to the one over here.
That makes
Uh,
sense.
and the way that made me successful was I figured out, okay, uh, there's got to be a way to get to the properties before an estate sale happens, because a pocket listing is a house that an agent has that she's
Mm-hmm.
willing to present to you off market before she lists it on the MLS.
Mm-hmm.
So once it's on the MLS, dude, it's like fair game. People are gonna attack it. Investors see it. Everybody likes off market because it's like hush hush. Only a few know about it. So a thing that worked for me was on estatesales.net. Uh, you know, there's a there's a way to where estate sales obviously get these leads to do the estate sale. So I pretended to be an estate sale company, paid for their program, and I was getting leads in like two, three a day. It was becoming very overwhelming. I call them. I let them know my pitch would be a little bit different. I'd be like, hey, Karen, I saw that you're interested in doing an estate sale. Do you know when you plan on doing it? Oh, I would like to do it at the end of April. Okay. Are you looking to sell the house as well? Yeah, I'll probably be selling the house. Okay. What's the address? I just literally asked her a couple of estate sale questions, and then I shifted once she said that the house was for sale. So now I'm bearing off over here talking about real estate or the house more than I am the estate sale that she's wanting to have. So now I'm talking to
Mm.
her about the house more. Okay, well, is it what kind of condition is the house in? Oh, it's in bad condition. You know, I've lived here since '65. You know, or whatever. And then I would be like, okay, can I go look at the house tomorrow? Would tomorrow be a good time for me to come by? You know, uh, I'm actually an investor. I'd be interested in buying, uh, and I'll also refer you to an estate sale company. So the reason you go to the estate sales is to build a connection with the estate sale company. The more times you go in there, the more times you see them, they'll know you, you'll know them. You know, bring them lunch one day. Now these estate sale companies are coming to you. Hey, I'm doing an estate sale over here that the family's selling. You know, I thought I'd let you know. Now you build a relationship with an estate sale company. Uh, so to also strengthen that relationship with the estate sale company, you know, you're talking to the seller about real estate, you're letting her know that, yeah, I'm an investor, I'd be interested, but I know someone who does estate sales. She's actually really awesome, and I'll reference her number to you. So now you're giving a lead not only to yourself but to that estate sale company, and giving them you know, a good review and telling them that they're awesome. So now you're giving them business, so you can give each
Okay.
other business.
Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I do have a question though. So how are you? How do you find the leads in order to offer the estate sale?
You have to pay $175 a month. It's pretty expensive. But there's a I just created an estate sale. Uh, I just said that I was an estate sale company. I created, you know, Big Wits Treasure Estates or whatever. I
Hmm.
filled in my information and paid the monthly membership fee, and then these leads start coming in like crazy. And I'm like, oh, okay, like this actually works. That's how I got. That's how I had my big month back in February, because there was an off-market duplex, and she wanted 275, and we're like, I don't know. Well, we pulled up comps. There's no really good comps in the area. We pulled up the comps, and there's duplexes going for like 500, 400, and we're like, oh shit, you know, this could be a good deal. Uh, we went and
Hmm.
looked at it, and we were like gonna give her 250, and she's like, no, I want 276. And so we're like, okay, we'll do 275, and then just if you'll sign the contract. So we got it for
Hmm.
275, and then we thought that we could sell it for 375. So that's a 100 pot right there. So that's 30. That'd be 30%. That's 30 grand. We ended up selling it for 350. So $75,000 fee. So you could have made $75,000 just off that one transaction, but
Hmm.
I made like 20,000 off that one. So for the month of February, I made 30 total, and I was like, oh shit, like
Hmm.
just a game changer off of one house. That's why I like these, because the leads are on them are pretty good. You know, I've gone and looked at houses. I get it's just getting advantage of walking up the property before the estate sale even happens. Because by the
Hmm.
time the estate sale happens, the people that know about the estate sales and know that that's a way to get properties, they're already going and saying, "Hey, it's a property for sale," like you would do starting off, and they'd be like,
Hmm.
"No, they sold it already," because they would have already sold it to someone like me who did that.
Already done it before. Can I
But
get
they
the
took,
that website?
yeah, it's estatesales.net.
Oh.
So they took me off because they found out that what we were doing, we weren't a legit estate sale company, and that we were just using the leads for real estate. Um, so they cut us off. So I'm gonna have to create another profile and do the same thing. But it's actually really good. way to make these. I think it's my favorite because one, I love estate sales.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, two, it's a way to get ahead of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. Wit, man, this was epic. This episode was epic, brother. Man,
I hope so.
before we end, do you have any closing remarks for anybody? Well, for everybody that's watching?
Uh, Man, no, not really. Just if you have a passion for something, stick with it. Even if you're not seeing the success, it will come. I'm pretty frustrated right now. You have a big month like that, and then you start to let off the brakes. You're like, oh yeah, dude, this is sweet. I want to go have fun, and then you realize, uh, you know, the next month wasn't the same, and then this month's not going as well. Just keep staying consistent and sticking to it because uh, it'll obviously go back up. So don't just give up because you're not seeing the results. The results come. Uh, what my manager always told me is anything you're doing today, you'll see results in 60 days from now. So whatever you're
Mm,
doing today, you'll see the results in 2 months. I just got done doing morning motivation. We do morning motivation in a group meet text, and I always feel like I crush it with the morning motivation. I feel like I pump people up, but consistent definitely is key. So just remember that. If you're not seeing results now, you might not see results in the month. As long as you're staying consistent, they'll start coming in. Properties will
mm,
start laying in your lap, getting dropped off, and you're like, wow, I didn't even think I was gonna buy something today or sell something. So
mm-hmm.
it's all about networking too. Make sure you network because those people that they'll go and find properties for you and just drop them in your lap. It makes your job a lot easier. So
Mm,
that's all I got, man.
mm. Man, listen, man, everybody that tuned in, I really appreciate y'all for your time. Hopefully, y'all got value as much as I got value because this episode was really epic. Man, listen, if you're struggling to start, just start. If you're struggling to figure out yourself, just just take action and learn about yourself each and every day. Because the more you learn about yourself, the better you become. Any progression is better than no progressions. Take small action and always, always, always continue to progress. Y'all, I thank y'all. I love y'all, and y'all never stop striving for greatness.